The Mawenzi Lake had always been a place of mystery. Shrouded in thick mist and surrounded by gnarled trees, its glassy surface reflected the night sky like a dark mirror. Elders told stories of spirits lurking beneath its depths, but no one had seen them for decades. The golden fish was the most infamous of these spirits, said to lure the greedy with its hypnotic glow. Those who sought it were never seen again, leaving behind only ripples on the cursed waters. Young children would huddle by the fire as the village griots shared tales of those foolish enough to chase the fish. They spoke of strange lights on stormy nights and whispers that seemed to rise from the lake itself. Despite these warnings, Kamau, the village's most daring hunter, saw the tales as nothing more than fear-mongering. He would often scoff at the old men, laughing as they tried to dissuade him from hunting near Mawenzi. Kamau's confidence grew unchecked. To him, the lake was just another untapped resource, its legends mere fabrications to keep others away. He prided himself on being the best hunter in the region, claiming that no beast, spirit, or curse could outmatch his cunning. His arrogance would soon lead him to a path of no return. One fateful evening, a storm brewed over Mawenzi Lake, lightning cracking the sky like a celestial whip. The villagers shuttered their homes, lighting lamps to ward off the storm's ominous energy. But Kamau was restless. He had spent the day listening to another griot's tale of the golden fish and had decided he could no longer ignore the challenge. As the winds howled and rain lashed against his small hut, Kamau sharpened his spear. He was determined to claim the fish and prove once and for all that the legends were mere superstition. Despite the elders pleading with him, he mocked their fear. "You are prisoners of your imagination," he said with a grin. "I will bring back the fish and its gold, and you will thank me for your cowardice." Kamau set out into the storm, his spear in hand and determination in his heart. The rain soaked his clothes and plastered his hair to his face, but he pushed on. When he reached the lake, the sight stopped him in his tracks. The water shimmered with an eerie glow, the golden fish darting beneath the surface. Its light cut through the darkness, drawing Kamau closer. The hunter's arrogance blinded him to the storm's warning growls, and he stepped into the lake, unaware that he had crossed a boundary that should never be breached. The storm raged around Kamau as he waded into the icy waters of Mawenzi Lake. His heart pounded with a mix of excitement and defiance. The golden fish darted just out of reach, its shimmering scales illuminating the water like streaks of lightning. Kamau gritted his teeth, raising his spear. "Come to me, little treasure," he muttered, his voice nearly drowned by the howling wind. The fish paused, its glowing eyes meeting his. For a moment, Kamau froze. He could swear he heard a voice, a whisper that seemed to rise from the depths of the lake itself. "Turn back," it said, soft yet commanding. "This path is not for you." Kamau shook his head, brushing off the voice as a trick of his imagination. He thrust his spear, the sharp tip slicing through the water. The fish evaded him effortlessly, its movements almost taunting. With each failed attempt, Kamau's frustration grew. Finally, with a powerful lunge, he struck true. The fish writhed at the end of his spear, its golden glow flickering like a dying flame. "You're mine now," Kamau said triumphantly. But as he pulled the fish from the water, the storm intensified, as if the heavens themselves were enraged by his actions. Back on the shore, Kamau examined his prize. The fish was breathtaking, its scales glowing faintly even as it lay limp in his hands. But as he admired it, the voice returned, louder this time. "Release me, hunter," the fish said, its lips unmoving. "Return me to my waters, and you may yet live." Kamau laughed, his grip tightening around the fish. "You think I fear a talking fish? You'll make me rich beyond measure." The fish's glow dimmed further, its tone turning ominous. "You have made a grave mistake. My kin will come for you. The lake will take back what is hers." Undeterred, Kamau wrapped the fish in a cloth and began his trek back to the village. The storm followed him, the rain relentless and the winds clawing at his every step. By the time he reached his hut, he was drenched, but the thrill of his triumph overshadowed any unease. He placed the fish in a makeshift basin and collapsed onto his mat, too exhausted to notice the shadows gathering at the corners of his room. The village was quiet as the storm subsided, but Kamau's hut was anything but peaceful. Strange noises filled the air, whispers, creaks, and faint splashes. Kamau stirred in his sleep, plagued by unsettling dreams. In them, the lake called to him, its waters rising to pull him under. The fish appeared, its glowing eyes filled with wrath. He woke with a start, his chest heaving. The room was dark, save for the faint glow coming from the basin. He approached it cautiously, but the fish was gone. In its place, the water swirled as if alive, the glow spreading across its surface. Suddenly, a loud crash came from outside. Kamau rushed to the door, but the night greeted him with an unnatural stillness. The air was heavy, the silence oppressive. He retreated to his hut, locking the door. For the first time, a flicker of fear entered his heart. By morning, the village was buzzing with rumors. Mawenzi Lake had dried up overnight, leaving behind a cracked, lifeless bed. The elders gathered near the site, their faces pale with fear. "This is the work of the spirits," one of them whispered. "The hunter has angered them." Kamau scoffed when he heard the news. "Nonsense," he said, though his voice lacked its usual confidence. He avoided the elders' accusing stares, retreating to his hut. As the day wore on, the villagers began to notice other strange occurrences. Livestock went missing, and crops wilted under an unrelenting sun. Whispers of a curse spread like wildfire. Kamau, once celebrated for his bravery, now found himself shunned. That night, Kamau's hut became a prison. The whispers returned, louder and more insistent. Shadows danced on the walls, moving independently of the flickering lamp. Kamau clutched his spear, his knuckles white with tension. "Give it back," the voices chanted. "Return what you have stolen." But the fish was gone, vanished from the basin without a trace. Panic clawed at Kamau's mind as he realized he had no way to appease the spirits. The villagers' fear turned to anger. They demanded Kamau return to the lake and fix what he had broken. "You've cursed us all," one woman cried. Kamau refused, his pride still intact. But deep down, he knew the truth. He had awakened something far beyond his understanding. The elders convened, their voices grave. "You must seek forgiveness from the lake," they told Kamau, "or it will consume not just you, but all of us." Kamau reluctantly agreed, though his heart burned with resentment. He prepared for a journey back to the lake, now a barren wasteland. At dawn, Kamau prepared for his return to the Mawenzi Lake. This time, he was not alone. A group of villagers, reluctant but desperate, decided to accompany him. Among them were Muthoni, a healer, and Kofi, an elder who carried with him a drum said to summon the spirits of protection. The journey began in uneasy silence. The villagers avoided Kamau's gaze, their fear of his arrogance still simmering beneath the surface. The once familiar path to the lake was now overgrown, as if nature itself sought to hide the cursed place. Birds that usually filled the air with song were absent, and the rustle of the wind through the trees sounded more like whispers of warning. As the group pressed on, Muthoni spoke softly, "Kamau, the lake will not forgive easily. You must show humility." Kamau grunted, unwilling to admit the growing knot of fear in his stomach. His once bold stride became cautious as they drew closer to the lake. When they arrived, the sight was worse than anyone had imagined. The once vibrant Mawenzi Lake was now a barren wasteland, its cracked, sun-baked floor stretching as far as the eye could see. The air was thick, and a faint metallic tang lingered, making it hard to breathe. Kamau stepped forward, scanning the desolation for any sign of life. The silence was deafening, broken only by the crunch of their footsteps on the parched ground. At the center of the lake bed, a faint golden light flickered, drawing Kamau like a moth to a flame. He knelt and shouted, "I've come to make things right. Show yourself." His voice echoed but was met with nothing but silence. The villagers exchanged uneasy glances, sensing an invisible presence watching them. Night fell swiftly, swallowing the lake in darkness. The villagers lit small fires, huddling close for warmth and security. Kamau sat apart from the group, staring at the golden glow still faintly visible at the lake's center. As the first stars appeared, the shadows emerged. They slithered along the ground like living creatures, moving with unnatural grace. The villagers gasped as the shadows encircled their fires, extinguishing them one by one. Kamau grabbed his spear, but it felt heavy in his hands. The shadows loomed larger, and faint whispers filled the air. "Thief, betrayer, return what you stole." Kamau shouted into the darkness, "I have nothing to return. The fish is gone." The shadows paused as if considering his words, then surged forward. As the shadows closed in, the golden glow at the lake's center intensified. From the light emerged not one, but several glowing creatures. They were larger than the fish Kamau had caught, their forms ethereal yet menacing. Their eyes burned with fury as they surrounded Kamau. "You have stolen from our queen," they said in unison, their voices reverberating like a drumbeat. "You have disrupted the balance." Kamau dropped to his knees, trembling. "I didn't know. Please, forgive me." The creatures circled him, their glowing forms casting ominous light on the cracked earth. "Ignorance does not absolve you," they said. "Your actions have cursed this land and its people. You must pay the price." Before Kamau could respond, one of the creatures lunged at him, its luminous body moving with lightning speed. Kamau raised his spear to defend himself, but the creature's touch burned like fire, leaving a deep wound on his arm. The villagers screamed, scattering in all directions. Muthoni and Kofi tried to drag Kamau to safety, but the creatures blocked their path. Kamau, bloodied and desperate, shouted, "Tell me what I must do." The largest of the creatures paused, its eyes narrowing. "Restore what was stolen, or suffer eternal torment." As Kamau collapsed from exhaustion and pain, his mind was flooded with a vision. He was back at Mawenzi Lake, but it was alive again, teeming with life. The golden fish appeared, larger and more radiant than before. Its voice was calm but stern. "Hunter, you have disrupted the balance of nature. To atone, you must offer more than words. You must give a part of yourself." Kamau awoke with a start, the vision lingering in his mind. He knew the lake demanded a great sacrifice, but what could it be? Muthoni and Kofi helped Kamau to his feet as he explained the vision. The elders knew what had to be done. "The lake demands your pride," Kofi said. "You must relinquish the very thing that led you to this path." Kamau hesitated but agreed. He took his prized spear, the symbol of his strength and arrogance, and walked to the center of the lake bed. There, he plunged the spear into the ground and knelt, bowing his head. The villagers joined him, chanting prayers to appease the spirits. The air grew heavy, and the golden light enveloped them all. The glowing creatures reappeared, their expressions unreadable. They circled Kamau, their voices harmonizing in a haunting melody. "The hunter has shown remorse," they intoned. "But his actions have consequences. His sacrifice must be complete." Kamau felt his body grow weaker as if the lake itself was drawing strength from him. His vision blurred, but he remained kneeling, accepting his fate. As the ritual concluded, water began to seep back into the lake bed. The cracks filled, and the once parched earth was restored. The golden creatures dissolved into the water, their glow fading as peace returned to the lake. Kamau, barely conscious, was carried back to the village. The village awoke to a world transformed. The crops were lush, the livestock healthy, and the air filled with the scent of renewal. The villagers rejoiced, their faith in the lake's power reaffirmed. Kamau, though weak, felt a sense of peace. He had paid his debt, and the land had forgiven him. The elders gathered to document the events in the oral tradition, ensuring future generations would remember the cost of arrogance and greed. Kamau's story became a cautionary tale, recited at every gathering. Humbled, Kamau dedicated his life to serving the village. He worked alongside the elders, teaching others the importance of respect for nature. His transformation inspired even his harshest critics. The spirits appointed Kamau as the guardian of Mawenzi Lake. He built a shrine by the water's edge, where villagers could offer prayers and gifts to honor the lake and its inhabitants. On quiet nights, the villagers could hear a hauntingly beautiful melody rising from the lake. They believed it was the golden fish, singing of the balance between man and nature. Though the lake thrived, the shadows occasionally reappeared, reminding the villagers that the balance was fragile. They served as a warning to never again disrupt the harmony of Mawenzi Lake. The story of Kamau and the cursed goldfish became a timeless legend. Mawenzi Lake remained a sacred place, its waters a symbol of life and a reminder of the perils of hubris. Generations later, villagers would gather by the fireside, retelling the tale, their voices low with reverence and awe. The hunter's legacy lived on, not as a hero, but as a man who learned the cost of defying the spirits.